That's pretty tight. It ain't gonna fit. I mean, if we pushed hard.
I have paper clips in the office.
No, I think clothespin.
The ones that hurt your finger every time.
You know, the clippers.
I'm gonna get a clothespin, like a wooden
I've
clothespin.
got those.
Are you putting your nipples?
Yeah, that's the ones. Do you like those, or do you prefer the
Clamps.
No, the extension cords? What are they called? Jumper
Jumper
cables.
cables.
I like jumper cables because they got the little teeth.
It's all about tolerance.
You first.
You got to build
Pain
up to that.
tolerance.
You
yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Jerry's just silent over here. He's like.
He's like, you guys are amateurs.
Amateurs.
This is all the intro.
He's like, we got a jump box back at the house.
Exactly.
He's like defibrillator. Clear.
Defibrillator.
Clear.
Exactly. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's do that. Should we do this?
Yes. Jerry says yes.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Out About Podcast. I am Patrick, and you all know my friends.
Chili.
Buttermilk.
Slim Jim.
Snap it to a Slim Jim.
And, of course, we got our producer, Mr.
Jerome Barrow, Jerry.
That's the one in the house. Oh, man. Well, as y'all can tell, it has been a night. It has been a day. It has been something. And we made it. We're back. We're sorry we missed you last week. Some scheduling conflicts, and we just couldn't make it happen. We tried. It just didn't work out. But we're back, and we are excited to be here. Therapy is necessary. It's been a heck of a 2 weeks, and I'm just thrilled to be here with you people.
I'm excited.
I'm excited if you couldn't tell from the intro.
You seemed a little like,
Let's do it.
let's do
go.
it.
Yeah.
That, or you were like really, really digging at Slim Jim.
Do you know I've never ate one.
What?
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 It's always been the pepperoni stick out of the jar that
No,
you would do, the big container.
no.
No Slim Jims here for me. Sorry.
Oh,
If I Instacart one right now, could it be here before the show's over?
only if
you
it's
think?
this long.
Yeah.
I've had them, but they're not my favorite.
No, I prefer the ones with the meat and cheese. You know,
No.
what's up with that? That's,
Just a good old pepperoni stick or a good chunk of jerky with the big black cracked pepper. That was kind of my thing at the convenience store.
no, the Slim Jim, with
Yeah.
the stick with the cheese. It's
Really?
that pasteurized.
Yeah.
Fake?
It's
That
the
good
same
stuff.
cheese that
It's not even
comes.
in the refrigerator.
It's the same cheese that comes like in a Hillshire Farms
Right, exactly.
box, and you smear it on with the mustard.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Wasn't
The
there
shelf stable.
there's a wrestler who was the Slim Jim commercial
that was
person?
yes, that
in
was
yellow?
I just imitated
Macho
him.
Man.
Oh, okay.
Randy
Randy
said-
Macho Man Savage?
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah.
Why was I?
Arr, whatever
Why
you would
was I
do.
thinking that was
It's Savage.
Not Hulk Hogan.
I thought it was Hulk Hogan.
No.
It was
Oh.
Randy
He wouldn't
Savage.
stoop that low.
Oh well, all right. Come on. I mean, okay.
Boy, that's taking you back some. Were you
A couple years ago.
Were you a WWF person?
I was not.
Oh,
I'm familiar, but I didn't watch.
Oh.
WWF, WWE, WCW. Were you WCW?
No.
There you go.
No, I only did
Yeah.
WWF. I watched it with my stepdad religiously on Saturday mornings.
Never watched it. Never was a fan until I was in Alabama, and then my grandparents love wrestling
Oh, yeah.
because they don't
It's a
wrestle.
whole
It was
different thing in the
wrestling.
South of
Oh,
wrestling, yeah.
wrestling. Oh yeah, we're gonna watch wrestling. That was like was it Monday night in the Monday night rest? Was
Monday
it,
Night Raw?
It might have been Monday nights. We watched it
Yeah.
on the 27th Zenith
Yeah.
television.
Yeah.
Floor model.
Right? Floor model.
No, she actually had the one that was in the remember the entertainment center?
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to have entire walls that were called an entertainment center. They were
Yes.
like $900 for this piece of wood. And they had your little stereo that was silver
Right.
on the
Yes.
front, and then your big TV. But my other grandmother, she had the console.
The console?
television.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
thought that was so cool.
Do you remember Elizabeth, his wife?
Who?
That's WWF.
Wow, that was
Oh,
a deep dive.
I know.
That was a
Savage.
deep dive.
I know.
Whole different direction.
I know. It's when they were starting to like have women on the show, and so they were eye candy on their arm, drawing more people in, viewers. Anyways, his wife's name was
Okay.
Elizabeth.
I never watched that. I was so much of a gearhead, so like I really liked Monster Truck, like Monster Jam and all that.
Yeah, I get it.
Watching Bigfoot obviously take on Gold Digger and all that.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Gold Digger?
Grave
No,
Digger.
Grave Digger.
Grave Digger, yeah.
Gold Digger, that was a different.
that was a Kanye
That's a
West
different
song.
situation.
That was
That's,
a person.
that's Hulk
Exactly.
Hogan's wife.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. Wow. I was a big fan on Saturdays of Wide World of Sports.
Oh, I remember that.
What?
Wide World of Sports.
Yeah.
It was way before your time.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But they would show different sports that we watch them all the time now. The ski jumping and, all kinds of different sports at the time.
We
Well,
had
yeah,
that
Wide World
like
of
every
Sports.
4 years or so.
It,
I think we had something like that,
was
right?
the
Olympics.
interstitial between the Olympics. They did the different sports. Yeah.
Huh.
I, do
I got
remember
that
that.
exciting moment because we were where we were last week. I was watching TV at one of the bars,
We'd never.
and they
yeah.
were reviewing American Gladiator.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
Showing-
gosh! Yes.
They were doing a whole documentary on
Yeah,
it.
I was
There's
just
a whole
gonna say there's
documentary
a-
on Netflix. I
Netflix
think,
or Hulu.
on
Yeah.
American Gladiator.
I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to.
I'm like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
When I was a kid, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't watch.
Yep.
So I didn't watch American Gladiator as a kid. I mean, I'm sure I saw it at friends' houses or whatever. Just wasn't something we watched at our house. What we watched was Nickelodeon's version of it. And it.
How is Nickelodeon allowed
That was
to
with the
have that?
slime and the goo.
No,
and
no,
the
no,
whatever
that was
else.
you're at Double Dare 2000 or Double Dare.
Oh.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Double
the-
Dare,
Mark
yeah.
Summers wasn't involved with this one.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was a different one, and it was. This is where it sucks being so much younger than all of you.
But I have kids your age, so they probably
They
watch
had
the
a
show.
and they had like a tower you had to climb at the very end. Mel Lee is sitting screaming at the radio right now because she knows exactly what we're talking about, and I can't think of what
We've
it's
got
called.
our intel over there. Is he Googling?
I don't know.
Nickelodeon?
It's something because it came on after Legends of the Hidden Temple, which was so much fun. I just want to do that. Nickelodeon circa 1994 through 2002 was just all the things you want to do as a kid and just weren't able to.
Yeah.
Like, that was the definition of living vicariously. It was just all I ever wanted to do. Oh, we were there. So Eric and I, my dad and my sister, we went to Disney for my sister's 40th birthday. Had a blast. Went to Universal. Had a
Been a
blast.
few years ago.
Been a few years ago, a couple years ago. It was post-COVID.
Yes.
People were still weren't. No, Disney had just gotten cleared to not wear masks
Correct.
the day we arrived. It was awesome. And so we go to Universal. We're walking around, and I found it. I found the old new Nickelodeon Studios in
Wow.
Orlando with the big slime fountain and all that stuff.
Wow.
It's completely painted over. It like you can still see the zigzags from like the '90s crazy styling, but
Right.
it's all like painted now one color, so you can just kind of barely make out what it is. The fountain's obviously completely gone. It's very depressing. But it was like, man, this was such a big part of my life. Was like, oh, if I could just get to Universal and get in front of that fountain, then I could play one of these games. It was, but it was cool to actually see it. I mean,
Cool.
like it really is there.
Yeah.
Guts. It was Nickelodeon Guts. Thank you, producer Don. That was Guts was such a great show. Loved it.
So
I don't
Jerry,
remember that one.
had you ever seen American Gladiator?
Yes, I loved it.
So Patrick's the only one who hasn't.
I've seen it. I just didn't watch it regularly.
I didn't watch it regularly, but I've seen it.
It kind of leads me into the modern day American Ninja Warrior.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're big fans of that as well.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once or
That's
twice.
a cool show.
Is it good?
If you like that kind of obstacle course thing, yeah,
I really do.
you should watch it.
Takes some perseverance, that's for sure.
for
I love
People
doing
it.
Have you ever done one of those obstacle courses or anything remotely
not
like it?
I'm
Have
not
I
a-
ever done?
I'm not, I'm not a
No,
parkour
I
kind
haven't.
of girl.
No.
So I've
I bet you he's dodged tables to get to the coffee bar.
You are correct.
I've done I have done some of that. So back in the day in high school and college, I was obviously in high school I was a teenager, so I did a lot of those like events where they would have inflatable stuff and they would have the thing that turned and you had to run across it, or the classic American Gladiators where you're up on two posts.
Oh, like the
And
jousting.
the
with
jousting
two-
Oh,
thing.
I've done that with Dalton.
Which, by the way, I don't know how I am now, but back then I was awesome. It was that was one of my like high school. You know how you have those little high school moments where you're like, I won that day. Like just little.
Sure.
They're ridiculous moments, but still you have them.
Yeah.
That was one of them for me. I was taking on my arch enemy, who was the school's #1 gymnast, and he was like our school was #1 in the state for gymnastics. So he's like really disgustingly good, very fit, ripped, does all that stuff. You know, all the throwing people in the air and all that. He does all that. And so we're on this thing, and I at the time I haven't tested it since, but at the time I had really good balance. So like even though you hit me, I still could maintain my
Sure.
composure, and I was able to knock him off his little post, and everybody was just floored. They
Wow.
were like,
Wow.
"How did this like amazing person take on this like tall, lanky with a little bit of a gut nerd?"
Oh.
And the nerd somehow won. Like it was so much fun. I
We
enjoyed
did
it.
it for Dalton's birthday. Do you remember that in his garage? We did the jousting
Yes, I do.
on wooden blocks. So we
Yes.
stood on just rounds of wood. That was our balance, and we were jousting each other. And I was playing to his feelings, going, "You can't hit mom like that." And so he would, and then he'd say something, or we'd just be talking. Like I was trying to have a mom-son conversation and get him all thinking something, and then I'd take advantage and oof, because he's very fit and he would have won instantly. But I was playing to his feelings, and I think it was best 3 out of 3 I won there.
3 out of 3. Yeah. Well, psychological warfare is allowed.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it's completely
absolutely.
condoned. Yeah,
And he wasn't picking up what I was putting down until the end, and
and then he found you were putting him down.
it was
That was how
fun.
that went.
When I was in high school, we did what do they call it? So the week of spring, where you kind of do half day classes and you do a lot of fun activities. Did y'all do that kind of thing? Spring fling. That's what they called it, was
For
spring
us, it was
fling.
just like a Friday afternoon.
Okay, so
But it
ours
wasn't
was an all week thing.
Okay.
There were specific days where you dressed up and you did whatever, and the more people that dressed up for your class age, you got points, and it was a whole victory thing at the end of the week. We did like lip syncing contest, and every afternoon they had allotted time for an assembly. So every afternoon there was some sort of an assembly, talent show, lip sync, whatever. Well, the very last day was field day. So they got the local fire department to come and hose you with their big hose from the fire
Yeah.
truck and wheelbarrow races and whatever. And this specific year, they decided to do, brace yourself, high school, Jello wrestling.
Sure.
So
Why
they
not?
did hay bales and a tarp, and the kitchen staff did all this Jello, and they did it by one person per class. And I was a freshman that year, and they tied a balloon to your ankle. And the goal was to pop the other girl's balloon. And when you get Jello on a balloon, it doesn't pop.
What color Jello?
I don't remember. This is 1990. 90?
Well, you only had orange, green, and red, right?
I wasn't afraid to use my teeth. So guess who's the queen of Jello wrestling? It was a lot of fun. It
That's
was a lot of
awesome.
fun. But that's about the only obstacle coursey thing I've done is Jello wrestling my freshman year.
I don't know. I had to do the whole like pick up a greased pig. It was me and one other
Really?
person. They set 2 greased pigs out, and we had to go pick them up and put them into their little thing. You ever
Wow.
try to pick up a greased pig?
No.
And it was a piglet too. Oh, it was about that big, like the size of Callie, my sister's dog. I know that doesn't help y'all at all, but
A little bigger than
Uh,
Annie. She's been on the show.
yeah, a little bigger than Annie, and they literally just greased it down. Hope it wasn't bacon grease. Anyways,
That would be funny.
but it's so difficult. They just slip right out of your hand. It was like Vaseline. Like imagine a pig just covered in Vaseline. Just as soon as you grab it, just right out, and he's freaking out, like just completely freaking out. And yeah, it was.
And this happened in the city?
Well, so that happened with a group of my friends. Because I'm a city boy, but I live country adjacent, and so this happened in the country. But it was with
Country
all
adjacent.
my city folk friends.
So there was suburban?
That's the what. Yeah,
Suburban.
suburban. Yes,
Nice.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
2
the-
points for Slim Jim. Uh,
Oh, that's funny.
I miss those days. I grew up with the day of like the inflatable, house was not just the bounce house anymore. They started doing newer and cooler things with those inflatables.
Right,
Yeah.
they put slides on them
Ye-
and
exactly.
Velcro walls. And
So I remember doing all that, like go to a lock-in or something, and they would take the gym and just put like 4 or 5 of those things in there, and you would do the whole, like you put yourself in this harness and it's attached to a rubber band,
Done
and you
that.
try to run as far as you can.
Yep.
Or they had one that was 150-foot long obstacle course, and that was the American Gladiator kind of thing. So along the whole course, you had all this stuff, and it was 2 people going at it one by one. And
Have you done the
so-
big, huge boxing
boxing
gloves
gloves.
on one of those air
I
houses?
did one time for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
let me tell you a little secret about Patrick. I don't like pain at all. Thank God codeine and those harder drugs don't sit well with my stomach. Otherwise, I would have issues. Like I don't do pain. I travel with a 1,000-count bottle of Advil, and I just believe like, oh, I think I might be getting a headache. Advil, like I just don't do pain, and so even with the big inflatable boxing gloves,
Yeah.
there's a little element there of like, oh, that kind of hurts when
Yeah.
a piece of plastic slaps you in your face.
Right.
So I did that one time, got hit once, and was like, I'm good. I do not need this.
The boxers in the round ring just going at each other,
Oh yeah, no, I can't.
knocking each other out.
I can't do that. You remember back
Even
when
with the gloves on, like you said.
or back when we were in Louisiana, and I worked with who is it? Not wrestling, but the other ones.
UFC?
UFC came to Baton Rouge, and I went and ran sound for it. You know, as the like I'm a sound guy. DJ's next to me, but I'm doing sound, so I'm taking care of the microphones of the presenters and the microphone for the DJ and the DJ's music. So he's still doing all the DJ work. I'm just controlling everything. So you're pretty close to the stage. Like you got a great view of it because you need to be able to see what's going on because at a second it'll change because it's acting, but it's not. In UFC was more not acting than acting. I did several WWF stuff. That's our WWE. That's all scripted. But UFC was very unscripted. And you would watch someone get hit, and just a splatter of blood would fly across the stage, and it's not fake. And it's like, oh, that's not for
rough.
me. And they were fine. They were like totally cool with it. And I'm like, I stubbed my toe, and I for the next week I avoid that whole area of my house. Like, I just, it's crazy stuff. I don't. But now they're all the same company now, aren't they? Or they were trying to be.
UFC and WWE.
I know UFC was just bought out recently in the last couple of years.
What did WWF or WWE or
I
I know WCW and WWE they became.
They're one, yeah.
Because that's what it was, right? WWF and WCW joined and made WWE.
Oh boy,
Well,
you're
no.
There was
totally
some
informed.
weirdness,
WWF
right?
had to change their name because the World Wildlife Fund sued them.
Oh,
For using
really?
the WWF initials.
Okay.
Really?
World Wildlife Fund had the trademark on that,
Okay.
and WWF lost, and they became WWE.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that's the reason they
Okay.
changed.
that is the reason they changed.
Politely, of a different generation. Did you have anything like spring fling in the city? Since you grew up in LA, we both talked a little more rural.
Well, we've seen
Types.
it. We saw
But I
that.
mean, did you have spring flings?
Greece took place in LA, didn't it?
Can we just talk about this whole of a different generation thing?
For those of you who aren't watching, she's got two evil eyes staring at her.
I'm not that much older than you. I'll be
You're not.
polite and I won't tell your age, but I'm not that much older
Oh.
than you. We just grew up in different environments. I don't recall the spring fling thing. Our school did different kinds of stuff, you know.
Did you have
We had the-
obstacle? Did you have the fire
No.
truck come hose you down?
No, we didn't have, that was a waste of water in Los Angeles. You got wastewater in LA.
Yep.
Come on. Let's be,
Oh, we had that in Baton Rouge.
I believe it.
Oh yeah, we
straight from the levee, probably.
tons of water.
Straight from the canal.
Actually, no. And in Baton Rouge, we had an aquifer.
Oh, okay.
It's actually dying now, so I guess we should have been. Like in hindsight, maybe we should have not
Yeah,
done half
but-
the stuff we
Ours was
did.
probably
But
river water
Probably.
because they had that glacier rivers
Yeah.
running through.
Yeah.
The
We had
hills.
river water too, but she didn't want to mess with that.
yeah,
Oh,
but
ours
that
was
was
the
New Orleans.
Mississippi's a little
New,
different.
New Orleans had river water. Baton Rouge actually had an aquifer that was like 12,000 years old or something, and our water consistently made the best in the country list, and it was great water, and we just abused it like
Yeah.
crazy. And now they've discovered that, guess what? Mississippi River water is now getting into that aquifer and poisoning it. So Baton Rouge has it's not much, but it's a lot. It's like 80
Sure.
years left. And 80 years sounds like a lot,
But it's not.
but it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's
Right,
really not. So
right.
they have to figure out what they're going to do for their water, and they're probably going to have to build some plants like New Orleans does and do that. But when you're taking water out of the ground and you're adding the legally required amount of chlorine and fluoride, and that's all you're doing to it, you get water dirt cheap. When you're processing river water, that water bill goes to the roof.
Sure.
So
Sure.
there's going to be a lot of unhappy people in Baton Rouge in the next 50 years. But it is what it is. You abuse your resource, and that's what
Yeah.
happens. So I'm right there at the cusp of uniforms. Like elementary school, I had no uniforms. Middle school, I had uniforms. High school, I didn't. But I was the only school in Baton Rouge that didn't have uniforms. Every other school did.
Wow.
And so for us, we were like the last. And by the way, that school that I went to still doesn't have uniforms. It's like a liberal, crazy, fun school, and they still don't have uniforms. We did things like, because we were the Bulldogs, and it was very Irish school, which is funny because now I live in Dublin, which is Irish, and I'm from Ireland, and I have a red beard. But
I
but
thought
we
that
did
meant
things
you were a
like
pirate.
but we did things like like I sprayed painted my hair green 1 week a year, every single year.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same time frame you'd be talking
Sure.
about. Yeah, I mean, so we did kind of have that where I think like the schools with uniforms, they really put a lot more emphasis on it because it was their only time they could come to school not in uniform.
That makes sense.
Whereas for us, it was like, well, it's every day. I can wear whatever I want any day I
Right,
want.
right.
So it wasn't as exciting.
Sure.
I don't know.
I think for us, we didn't do it in the spring. We did it during homecoming week. That's when we got to do and wear the special.
Spirit Week or whatever they
Unusual
call
things.
them. Yeah.
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 We didn't. So my school, it was a magnet school, and we didn't have football, basketball, or baseball. We had everything else, but not those three sports. So we didn't really get the homecoming week. I
So you
missed
had
out on
sports
that.
like badminton and shuffleboard.
Wrestling, gymnastics,
Ice
soccer.
hockey.
Chess.
We had soccer back when soccer was like, who plays soccer? Of course, now
Wow.
everybody plays soccer.
Well, soccer
But-
was that way when I was a kid.
yes.
AYSO, my neighbors across the street, best friend growing up, they played soccer. So, I mean, soccer's been that way for
It
a
was-
long time where everyone plays it as a kid, but as you get older.
Oh no! See, and maybe it's different in South Louisiana. Like, there was no elementary school kids, middle school kids playing soccer. It literally was like a high school thing.
Wow.
And now it is. Now, like, I've got friends of mine that are coaching their kids, like 4 and 5 year olds, or maybe a little older, maybe 8-year-olds playing soccer. Like, that didn't exist back when I was
Okay.
a kid. Baseball did, but not soccer.
Jerry, you weigh in. Did you have spring fling?
We did. I never participated. I don't like being outside.
Did your high
He's
school
like-
have sports?
Yeah, football. Football was huge. I mean,
It's
from-
the South.
Exactly.
We can't not
So-
How
be.
many were in your graduating class? Just curious.
I don't know. I didn't graduate high school, so I ended up.
Let me put my foot in that one.
I quit my junior year and went to community college and got my GED.
Oh, well, that's because you're smart. That's not fair.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. How many was average in a class, roughly?
100,
So a smaller school.
a lot smaller.
Yeah.
That's about
Noted.
the size of mine high school.
Noted.
That's so funny. At my school was, I think I was 380 when we graduated.
And
and
I think
in the
Vince's
school,
was too.
1,400 or sorry, it's about 1,600 people in the school.
Oof.
And but my graduating class was like 380ish or something. And I've got friends in Texas. They're like, we were at 1,200 seniors, and I'm like, oh, okay. There were 5,000 people at my high school. I'm like,
How many
"Oh."
were in yours?
I don't have any idea.
Oh,
It was big.
How about you?
69.
Graduating?
Yes.
Wow.
We were the last double-digit class to graduate from.
After that, it was single.
No, it was triple after that. Yeah. No.
Can you imagine sitting through a graduation ceremony with 200 plus people?
No. Are you calling all their names?
Yeah.
Or are you
Yeah, you walk
course you
up,
do.
you get your diploma,
Oh,
and walk
no,
across
300
stage.
200 people. Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be half the time.
Yeah.
380?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I come from graduating with 100, so I can imagine sitting through a 200-person
I couldn't either.
graduation
was-
No
ceremony.
way.
And you just talked about Texas being up in the fives.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine sitting there for 1,000 people. Now,
They're like A through G.
Right.
You're gonna meet on Saturday.
Yeah.
Everybody else meet on Sunday.
well, that's how. So, like, people got upset because when I graduated high school, my class graduated from our theater. We were the last class that actually graduated from our high school theater. Everybody else after that graduated at a larger auditorium. But our theater at our school, and our school was built in 1912 or something like that. It was dedicated to the people that fought in the World War. There was no concept of World War II. It was a very old school, which I love. It was very cool. And I love having all that heritage behind my school. So the theater, like, we were the last ones to graduate in our theater, and I think the theater set like 1,500 people or so, 16,
Wow.
maybe closer to 2,000. So each person only got like 3 or 4 tickets
Right.
to graduation. That was it. And people hated that because, like, my sister graduated from a place that had 5,000 seats, and so everybody was just invited. There was no tickets. So all my family went, my grandparents, everybody, all our friends went.
Well, my graduation was at a football in our football stadium at the school.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools do that.
But we still had limits to number of tickets. Maybe it was 4, I think, but
Oh, wow.
we still had limits on how many people you could bring.
Oh, my sister, Bethany World Person or North Campus. Did you ever go to the North Campus in Baker?
Yeah,
That place
many
was-
times.
Yeah, huge. That's where Melissa graduated. So, like, everybody could go. There's no who cared. And so we got 3 tickets, I want to say, or 4 tickets maybe. I don't know if it's normal for schools to do this, but they did do it by like what number you were so the dumbest person went
really?
last.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sweet.
are you serious?
Yeah. And I was like 120 or something out of 380, and I was like, whoo, thank God. But I went to a magnet school, and half the school was performing arts, half the school was academics. So you had some like people who were amazingly performing arts, and they could care less about academics,
Right.
and vice versa.
Right.
So it was very strange the way it kind of all played out, but it was a lot of fun.
Ours was alphabetical by last name.
I think it's how most people are.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you go to elitist school.
I think we were in and out in like an hour.
Oh my gosh, no, I can't imagine. Anywho, so how's your week been?
It's been a great conversation about gladiators.
I know, right? This kind of
Ninja warriors.
this kind of took a tangent. I got to ask a question. So this morning, I had to. Last night, I took a truck out to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Some of our trucks have this little baby window over the kitchen. Not all of them do, but some do. And the company that manufactured that window has actually been having an issue where they're coming delaminated, or basically unglued, the glasses. So you got to go and get them replaced. It's a big recall. It's a pain in the neck, but whatever. So I took a truck out there last night and dropped it off first thing in the morning. Taking like an hour and back on the road again. And I had a great drive out there. It was easy peasy. Got to my usual hotel. Watched Thor. And then was able to knock that out in the morning and then drive back. And I had hit a little bit of snow on the way home, just a little bit, not much. But, it was a great morning. I great evening, no issues, not a lot of weather. Everything was fantastic. So imagine my surprise when I opened up my Facebook before I left Fort Wayne, Indiana, and saw Jerome Barrow's post. Sounds like you had an exciting morning.
It really was. Like, so normally we get up around 5:30 a.m. Woke up at 5 o'clock because of my phone going off and an alert. And at first, whenever I woke up and I heard it, I was just like, that was weird. And it didn't really register. And then Don woke up and he's like, do you hear that? The sirens are going off. And I'm like, what? What? He's like, the sirens, the tornado sirens are going off. And I'm like, what? What? I'm jumping up out of bed. We're both getting dressed. He's going downstairs. He's literally lollygagging and taking his time. I'm like running around, making sure my cell phone's charged. I'm grabbing the laptop. I'm looking out the window. He's turning on the TV, taking his sweet time, walking into the kitchen. And I'm just like looking out the window and I'm like kind of freaking out. And I'm like, do we go to the basement? Do we start taking shelter? Like, what do we do? This one's in the kitchen making coffee. Now, if anybody knows me, they know that we absolutely love our coffee. And it was quite funny because a little bit later, whenever it did pass and all the warnings were done, let me back up a little bit. They were saying on TV, like, if you're in Upper Arlington, which we are, they were like, you need to take shelter immediately. Like, it was really like nerve-wracking to me, you know? And whenever the threat finally did pass, though, it was funny because Don looks at me and he's like, the only thing I could think of is I was just hoping the coffee would brew fast enough before the power went out. So, yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah, so we woke up when the alarm was going off, and I went and used the bathroom. And I come back out and think to myself, I should probably put some clothes on just in case the house is gone. I'm not that guy standing in, rubble with house around me, the helicopter shooting pictures of me in my drawers and, a
No
T-shirt or
shoes.
something, no shoes. So
Cup of coffee.
got dressed and meandered downstairs. If you know me, I meander. And she was already down there. I meandered downstairs, and I closed the door upstairs behind me, get downstairs, and she's like, oh, we should probably close that door too, huh? So I hop on the computer. That's my office down there. So I hop on the computer. She's got her phone going with weather and stuff. And I don't know, we've done it for about a half an hour. And she goes, wonder if the coffee's ready yet.
I had pushed. So normally it goes off at 6 to start brewing. But again, we were all up at about 5:30.
Yeah.
And on my way down, I actually turned it on before the alarm, thinking the same thing. Maybe the coffee will be brewed when this is all done, and I can get a cup of coffee. Oh.
You see those people on the Weather Channel? They're in their robe. They got the slippers on, a cup of coffee. Their house is completely gone.
Yeah.
It's 3 acres down the road. I mean, and they're like, "We'll see what happened." And it's that's.
I just want you to know, at least in our household, we did take it seriously. Our alarms go off at right around the 6 o'clock mark, maybe even 6:30. His internal alarm goes off well before that. But we knew the storms were coming in. I'm sure you did too, Jerry.
Yes.
We were being very weather conscious. We were tracking what times and hours they could be hitting. But I did the same thing. When you got up to use the restroom, and then I heard the sirens, I'm like, the wind was so hard, it almost blew the siren sound.
Away.
It did.
Yeah.
And I said, I think that's the sirens. And I said, I'm going to also use the restroom, but I'm also getting dressed at the same time, kind of thing. Also to put shoes on for just in case. And then we took Annie downstairs and we just kind of monitored the radars and the Weather Channel. But definitely, it was brewing up something out there.
I lived in Mississippi for a few years, and they had sirens and tornado sirens and all that down there, and I had heard it. But the majority of my life growing up, I lived in the mountains. You don't have tornado
too.
sirens.
Yeah,
Me
right.
too.
You don't have to worry about tornadoes. Like,
Yeah, same thing in South Louisiana. We had those alarms, but those alarms weren't for tornadoes. They were actually for the chemical plant. If there was an issue at ExxonMobil, because if you look at a map of Baton Rouge, and you look at ExxonMobil, it's 35% of the city is ExxonMobil. It's one plant. It's huge. It's a giant refinery. I think it's the largest refinery in North America. It's massive. And so they have those alarms around the refinery, not out where I lived. But that was talk about my school. So one of the weird things about living or going to school downtown Baton Rouge was every Wednesday we heard those alarms go off at noon.
Yeah.
But there were no tornadoes. Like, we didn't have tornadoes growing up in Baton Rouge. Like, that didn't exist. It wasn't a
No.
thing. Hurricanes. Oh, yeah, we had hurricanes. But not tornadoes. So when we moved up here, it's like, holy cow. In the first several we had, you hear that alarm go off, and it's immediately run to the basement, which should be the response.
Should be.
When you see, like, some of these places in Kansas or Oklahoma or Ohio, Missouri getting closer to home, Ohio and Indiana, those alarms go off, we should immediately go to the basement because you hear, like, this place had 38 seconds
Yep.
of notice before they got hit. And it should be our response, but we're so cultured to the false alarm deal.
Right.
It actually, I was going to tell you, but I decided not to. I was going to wait till the show when we talked, me and Melissa talked earlier today. At the hotel I was at, the fire alarm went off. I've been at that hotel. Like, it's my go-to hotel every time I go to Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's funny because I like the hotel because it was renovated because it caught fire several years ago. It used to not be my hotel. It caught fire several years ago. Like, since I was a driver, it caught fire, burned an entire wing. So now you kind of probably know what the hotel I'm talking about because it faces the interstate. They've renovated the hotel, and it's actually kind of nice now because of that. So it's a hotel that has caught fire. I've been there probably 4 times where the fire alarm has gone off. So now, last night, the fire alarm went off while I'm in bed. Like, I'd literally just turned Thor off, and because Thor went to like 1 a.m., and it was like 12:30. I'm like, I'm done. I got to go to sleep. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. And I'm laying there, and like 15 minutes after I'm like, close my eyes, try to go to sleep. Wham, wham, wah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the freaking fire alarm's going off. And I'm like, there's been false alarms before. Let me see what happens. So I just laid in the bed
Start
for like,
sniffing.
I laid in the bed for like 30 seconds, and the alarm does go off. It was a false alarm. But it's like, if it was a real alarm,
Yeah.
what are those 30 seconds that I just laid in
Wasted.
bed
Yeah.
really, accomplish?
See, for me, that's how it was in L.A. with earthquakes. You don't get the alarm, you feel it, and you go, okay, it's going to be a small one. And it keeps going. You okay? Maybe I should get up and go stand in the door jam. It gets big enough, you go do that. Otherwise, you're just going to lay there and go, okay, it's stopping. I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
You don't
I
get
was
that
thinking maybe
pre-alarm.
next time I might, if we know they're coming, I might sleep in pajamas. Be more prepared.
Or even if we know that, because we did know that storm's coming.
Because
Well, sure. We even pushed
We
back a
did.
move in today.
we did.
Yes.
I pushed back a move in today.
and when I
I was concerned about that.
and when I volunteered to take the truck to Bolt yesterday, Melissa even mentioned there's bad storms coming. Are you sure you want to go? I looked at the weather, and it showed Fort Wayne was not going to have the
Why
weather.
did she get credit for that? I said that.
Was it you?
Yes. I was the one that was weather conscious yesterday.
I am so sorry.
You are because you did push back the team.
I did.
Okay.
And the
so,
team was also weather conscious too.
So the storm was coming, and it was mentioned to me that, like, are you sure you want to go? Because the storms are coming. And I looked on the radar, and it showed that Fort Wayne was not going to have crazy bad weather. It's
Right.
got bad weather, but not crazy bad weather. And the times, it was you we were talking to. Yeah, okay, I apologize. I'm sorry about
Okay.
that. Um,
All right. I'm good for
the,
something.
The times I would be traveling, the storm wasn't going to be
Right.
out
No, because
yet.
it was in the middle of the night and early morning.
Exactly. So I was like, I see a time. It'll work out here. Let me do it. And so I did. And I was joking with Melissa. I'm like, I had the safest of all of y'all.
You
Like,
did.
I got out of town before the storms got bad. If you can imagine a map, Chicago is like north central. Columbus is like east, and Fort Wayne's kind of in the middle. And Fort Wayne got no weather.
Yeah.
Like, it split
Yeah.
at Indianapolis, or a little before Indy.
And
Bad
before.
weather went to Illinois and hit Chicago. Bad weather hit Columbus. And we got
It
like
left Fort
a little
Wayne
bit of
alone.
rain, a little hint of rain, a little
Yeah.
rain.
That whole storm this morning just tracked I-70
Oh,
all the way
wait.
across. It hit Springfield. I think a light tornado, I think, hit down. They had a lot of damage.
It might be more than a light because the Air Force Museum
I saw that.
got
Outside
hit
of
pretty
Dayton.
I saw
hard.
that.
That's sad.
And then it came right across. And then for our area, it was
Hilliard.
downtown Columbus. So literally tracking right across 70. So it was downtown Columbus is where it was starting to hook. Like on the Doppler, I was watching it, and then
Yeah.
a little bit in Obitz, and then it just kicked right on out across 70, and then it was going to be Gahanna and Pataskala. So again, the east side. It was just going right across the 70.
It hit Hilliard hard. It actually hit a little north of Roberts Road, which is where our yard is.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
a little more to the west, but still same road. And I by the time I saw that report, I knew everything was fine from our end. But then I started seeing the reports and the pictures coming in. I'm like, wow, that's really close to home.
You and Dawn live a little further south than Patrick and Eric and Vince and I do, like closer to the I-70 corridor. I don't know how you want to say that.
Yeah.
Do you find that you got a lot of wind damage? I mean, I know the tornado didn't, or a tornado didn't happen, but do you find like that you got a lot of wind damage?
Where we are actually at, I don't think we experienced anything. I mean, there were some trees blown around in the yard out front because the city of Upper Arlington was actually coming through probably 3 hours later, and they were picking up tree
debris.
branches and throwing them in the chipper and stuff like that. But I don't think it was anything bad.
I think
that I
most of
know
the
of.
weather that I always find is always like just right at the 70
Yeah.
and a little lower.
Yeah.
Or it swings a little higher and goes up like Marysville, and then it kicks out above into Delaware. Like for some reason, I feel like Dublin area is kind of always a miss.
I know when I'm going on ELW.
Knock on wood.
And there's a little bit of rain. When you turn south off 270 onto 71, just south there, like half a mile down, it's just horrible. It's like everything goes right through there for some
Yeah.
reason. It's just bad. But
Well, it is interesting. So, like, I agree with you. Dublin, I think I'm pretty confident. So, like I don't mind telling people I live in Dublin.
No, I don't either.
Try to find me. It's a big city. But so our yard's in Hilliard, and we live in Dublin. We're on a hill. I do know that for a fact. So we've never really talked about it on this podcast before, but I'm taking flight lessons. I am learning to fly a plane. God help me. And so there's two airports, OSU, which is in Dublin, which is what I fly out of, and there's Bolton, which is a little south of Hilliard. And there's like a 150-foot elevation difference between the two.
Yeah.
Dublin OSU Airport is even higher than CMH, which is the main airport here in Columbus. So there is an elevation change, and I can't help but wonder if it's just subtle enough that the storms
It could be.
move.
It could be.
Like it's so weird because I mean there's been days where it's been like a nightmare down at the lot.
Right.
And it's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then you get up here and the streets are dry.
Yeah.
Like dry.
And
There's other, and it's vice versa. We have had, it's not often, but we've had storms here where I've talked to Chili and been like, did you even bother going into work today? And he's like, why would I bother going to work today? He's like, because I'm like, it's storming. He's like, it's bone dry here. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, we had a band of weather that came through a little while ago, but it was just a rain and quit.
just
And I'm
rain.
like, I'm watching my trees hoping they don't fall in the house.
Yeah.
So it is.
And you guys
They
are on kind
never
of the
have the
cusp
same
of Dublin.
Yeah.
Where you're at, you're
You're not
kind of
far
there.
from the OSU airport, are you?
No, he's
No,
not.
he's not.
Mm-mm.
No. He probably hears you fly over and yells his name every time you fly over.
It's not that often,
Yeah.
but yeah.
No, we go to work prepared for weather.
Yeah.
Long johns, rain gear, whatever it takes.
Well,
Well,
it's-
today was weird
spring.
'cause
I had everything. I had my heavy heated jacket and my rain gear.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
can we just say how crazy the weather is? Because it was just in the 60s, and now tomorrow is supposed to be like down in the 30s with wind chill.
This morning
it's-
when the alarm went off,
The
it
sirens.
was the sirens at 5:30. It was 65 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And that was 5:30.
By
By
11.
7:30,
Yep.
it was down to 50. By 11, it was high 30s. And it got colder and windier as the day went. It was not a pleasant day outside
And that's, I think,
today.
the whole reason that the storm happened or the tornado warnings happened because it was that cold front and
Right,
and
getting the
warm.
warm,
And
yeah.
that's what they predicted. But
Yeah.
it is spring. We learned that this is our second spring here. It's your guys' first.
Oh, I see what you're
Second.
saying.
Second.
We moved
Yeah.
here end of January.
It wasn't.
So,
So-
this is the first faux spring of 24.
yes.
Yeah.
Because we'll have like 3 or 4 fake springs before spring actually
Well-
sets in.
My time hop yesterday actually showed me recording tornado warnings. I may or may not have been standing outside looking at it. Tornado, the actual sirens were going off for an actual tornado.
You were here though, were you?
No,
no,
that
no.
was
You were
at
at
our
home?
house
We
a
were at
year
home.
ago.
So it was 1 year ago yesterday on
Yeah.
my Facebook memories. It showed me recording that we were having tornadoes in our area. I do think that they went north up into Delaware that year.
think so.
Last year.
So let me ask you, it was 60 what this morning?
65.
What is it right now? Don't look.
I'm going to guess 24.
I'm going to go 27.
I'll go a little higher, 28, 29.
I'll go 31.
26.
So I win.
Isn't that nuts?
That's crazy.
And it was
You know
65
what's
this
do you know what's
morning.
even crazier?
They get colder.
Next
Yeah.
week?
Yeah.
And
Into next week?
71.
Yeah.
72 degrees.
yeah.
72 degrees. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't wait.
We're back in the
Bring it.
50s tomorrow.
I know this weather pattern's been
It's
so
ridiculous.
strange.
Ridiculous.
So strange. And when I left Fort Wayne, it was freezing. It was snowing. And I drive down here, and it actually dried up, which is great. Like, if you're driving, it could be -10. If it's dry outside, who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No big deal.
It was 70 degrees in that cab. That's all I cared about.
Mhm.
I get down to Marysville, and it's just snowing like crazy. And I'm like, and by that time it was like 42 degrees. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why is it 42 degrees and snowing like crazy? I mean, as soon as it touched anything, it went to water. But still, I was like, this is so crazy.
Crazy.
Then I get to the lot, bone dry.
Yeah.
This Ohio weather, coming from Louisiana, this Ohio weather is odd.
It is.
It's very odd.
It is.
And you remember last spring, the trees were blooming, trees were getting their leaves back, trees were blooming in the front yard, and all of a sudden they had a snow freeze storm
Yeah.
come through,
Yep.
That's right.
killed a bunch of trees. The trees that did live were drooping over.
We had to
do
take
remember
we had to
that.
take an entire tree out of the front yard.
Yeah.
It completely decimated that. It was a beautiful tree. I loved it, and the snow and ice, because it got leaves, and the snow and ice came, and when it did, it just put too much pressure, and it pulled a limb over, which it was a small enough tree that it was like a third of the tree bent over, and we were hoping to try to like get it back, and it just
See, it didn't kill the tree, just the weight of it for so long until the ice finally melted
yeah.
left a permanent drag, like a droop on the
Right,
tree, and it
Yeah.
right.
just wouldn't grow back straight
it
up.
wouldn't it wouldn't go back straight up, and then it started getting into the driveway, and it was like
Yeah.
we don't have a choice but to pull it down. It was devastating, but it's
I hope that doesn't happen this year.
Right.
we don't have anything that small this year. Like all of our small trees have been killed off by either the deer or the or the snow and ice. Everything we got now is big, healthy trees. So even if it does happen, should be fine. But I'm glad I missed all the weather y'all had and the excitement. But I did want to talk about something last week, and I had a couple, or 2 weeks ago, and I had a couple people reach out, and they were like, "Something's weird about you," and I wanted to let y'all know. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I decided that we're no high, like in an area long enough that I'm like, I should do something with my teeth, and I went and got braces. I got really cool ones. They're not the clear ones that. What are they called? The Invisalign? They're not Invisalign, but they are like clear ceramic, and there's just one little line that you can see, and it's been like that for the past couple of years, and it's been great, and I love it. And I thought that was all I was going to get. And then 3 weeks ago, I went to the orthodontist to have my usual checkup or whatever, and he's like, "Yep, you're ready."
What are you ready for?
Yeah, I'm ready. I thought I was already doing it.
I thought so too. And they pulled off this little contraption they had in the back of my mouth. You couldn't see it. And they went all full metal braces on my bottom teeth and the back half of my top ones. So I still have my ceramics in my very front, but I have metal everywhere else. I don't know how to feel about this.
Oh.
At first, it hurt. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So
you had
bad.
mentioned
So
that.
bad. Oh, like 4 Advil every 3 hours. Like, hurt. By far the most painful thing I've done yet. And since then, that pain's thankfully gone away. It's so weird. Have y'all had braces?
I did.
Yes.
No.
I feel like my bottom lip is massive, and I have wires poking me.
Why do you have wires poking you? You shouldn't have any wires poking you.
Well, I didn't at first. Obviously, it's working, and my teeth have moved. They did say as your teeth move, the
Yep,
wire could come out.
Yep.
So it is poking me a little bit.
Wax.
Oh, I've got wax.
Wax is your friend.
Oh, if you looked at my mouth right now, I could light a candle.
Yep.
Wax
is your friend.
Like, it is. I bought it in bulk,
Yep.
and I'm nervous I didn't get enough. It's unbelievable how weird this sensation is. And the way I talk, when I listen back to the last couple episodes at myself, I'm like, oh, man, you could definitely tell something's changed. Like, it just sounds so different. And at least in my head, it's probably minimal.
It is minimal.
But still, I notice it, and I'm like, oh, it kills me. It's just so strange.
I know you have some longevity on it, but the feeling when you get them off for like the first month will be licking your teeth all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, the front of my teeth just feel
All
like...
of it. Yes.
I feel, when as soon as I first got it, I showed Eric. He's like, "Oh my God, your jaws," and I'm like, "Oh Jesus!"
Is it? What's the name of the character?
Jaws.
Jaws on
Yeah.
the Bond movie.
Yeah.
It's Jaws.
I'm like, "That's what you
Yeah.
get for
Not
forcing."
what you wanted to
That's
hear.
what you
I'm
get
sorry.
for forcing him to watch James Bond.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But coming from the first step, from the very first step when it first started, you come a long way.
oh my gosh,
And it's completely.
He still
It-
cries just as much as he did when he first got him.
it hurts me to look at old pictures. I'm amazed at how bad it was. Like I knew it was bad, but I'm just shocked. I really am shocked. It has come a long way.
And that's why they hurt.
And yeah, exactly.
It's because they're moving your teeth.
And it's not like my gums are rubber and they're just moving. It's bone.
Yeah.
They're literally moving a bone inside of a bone. Oh. So anyways, that new thing has changed. And like I said, I've had a few people reach out, so I wanted to let y'all know that's what's up. I'm trying to get used to it. I'm 3 weeks in. I'm starting to get used to it. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to go in every few weeks and have a new
Wire.
put in. That's obviously going to cause more pain each time I do it. But yeah, and I've got a couple rubber bands I have to put in there. I take them out for the video because it makes me slur too much. So I do pop them out just for this, but I put it back in as soon as I'm done.
Would you be open to comments from the audience?
I would
Things to help you.
I would love if you've had braces before and you've got tricks or anything up your sleeve or how to make the pain go away, how to adapt to little things sticking you in your gums. I know the technology's come a long way, but there's still little pieces of metal that stick out and they grab. I had one the other day. I woke up and I guess just the way I was sleeping, I kind of did a yawn, and when I did, I felt a rip in the side of my mouth from where a little piece had just kind of like been sitting there all night. And as soon as I did, it just ripped out. Oh, it hurt. Thankfully, it only hurt for a little bit and then it was done. But I've had a couple times where it just like, I'm using, it's not Ambisol, but it's kind of like Ambisol. Is that what you call
Oragel?
it? Yeah, maybe, yeah, Oragel, sorry.
Right.
Kind of like Oragel, but it's not Oragel, it's something else. And it helps tremendously if I get a sore spot.
Nice.
But oof, man,
So yeah, you'll leave some comments, suggestions.
absolutely.
If you've been through experience.
I know Melissa, you and I have talked about it a lot. Little tricks here and there. But
Chewing gum, which, I mean, I know that you've got rubber bands. You got to time it,
yeah,
And I'm not talking like all day chew gum, but I remember with Dalton, my youngest, they would give him a note for school that he was allowed to chew gum at school because it was a no gum chewing school.
yeah,
And but they gave him a note that he had to be able to chew it because when you chew, it keeps your teeth moving, I guess, or your bone.
that makes sense.
And it helps relieve the pain from a new wire.
I could see that.
So again, not chewing gum all the time, but like in that
Yeah.
first, soon as you get it for like a first couple hours to a day.
For me, as soon as I put anything in my mouth with the rubber bands, it just gets tangled up and it becomes a problem.
Sure. Well, again,
But-
you can't chew it with rubber bands, but yeah.
And I'm trying so hard to keep those on. I'm like, I just want to
sure.
get it right, get it done, and be done with it. But I actually broke a bracket off already.
Lovely. What are you eating? Apples? Caramel popcorn?
You would
Just kidding.
think saltine cracker.
Oh, you're eating Optavia.
Well, I guess we'll talk about that.
I was trying to lead you in there, that segue.
It's not been a good couple weeks. A lot of stuff going on. I've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. Not terrible. It's not detrimental. Nothing we can't get back. But my weigh in this morning was 279.5 or 7.
What was last time?
277. So I've
Okay.
gained a couple pounds, y'all. Again, I promised when I started this I was going to be honest. There's been a lot of additional stress over the last couple weeks. Some things that have gone not well, and I've just fallen off the wagon a little bit. There's no other way to put it. And I need to get back on, and I am getting back on. And I am starting to get progress again. I think I'm a very emotional eater, and when things go sideways, that's my comfort. And I kind of dug into that for a little bit over the last couple of weeks and shouldn't have. But like I said, I am getting better. I'm getting back on Octavia, I am back on Octavia, I should say. I am back to my normal plan, and because I did actually, I think I ballooned up for like 281 or so. So I'm getting like 279 is a little bit of a
Sure.
getting back down. Yeah, so that's just a bit of honesty. And
I think that's human, though, right? It's part
It's-
of being human, and we're not always 100% at our best physically or emotionally, and sometimes we have those things where we fall back to our comfort zone.
absolutely we do.
So
Yeah.
it's challenging always.
No, it's 100% correct. And, I'm glad I have a support group. I'm glad I have people in my life that can say, hey, what's happening? What's going on here? That definitely helps.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be taking the steps to get back on. But, it is what it is. It's been a rough few weeks. I'm glad that time does help. But that does bring us to our daily fueling, our fueling of the week.
Yeah, which one are you choosing today?
So the feeling of the week is by far my absolute favorite. Those of you that know me since I was a little kid, s'mores are my weakness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love s'mores. I did a lot of camping as a kid, made a lot of s'mores. Love them, love them, love them, love marshmallows, love chocolate, love graham cracker. What could go better? So we have Campfire S'mores Bar by Octavia. This is, it's like the bottom's all chocolate. Then the core of it is like the puffed rice you would
Yes.
call.
Mhm.
And then it's got a chocolate drizzle on top, and it's got, but the rice has like a graham cracker flavor to it. And then the chocolate drizzle on top, and then it's got actual little marshmallows in it, all over the top. And it's so good. It's so good. 110 calories. Again, it's nutritionally similar to all the other ones we've been pointing out. And this right here, this is comfort food in a little basket. This is so good. I have yet to get tired of these. I just when Octavia actually, I was with Octavia before they came out with these. When they came out with these, I was like, holy cow! It's a limited time only release. It's since been put on the permanent menu, and I love them. I think they're outstanding, and that's the one for the day or for the week. I always get like 2 or 3 boxes of these every month because they're just so stinking good.
They're easy too. They're good, easy to go.
Yes, they are. This is the first bar I've shown y'all, right?
It is.
Yeah, it
So this is about. So they I was gonna say it's about size. They are, but they do change. Believe it or not. So some of them are a little denser, and so they're a little smaller, and some of them are actually a little bigger than this. It just depends on what their composition is and what they're made up, because they are hitting that same calorie, carb, fiber, protein marks, and so depending on what it's made of, they do actually change it. Because one thing I like about Octavia is with their bars, they use a lot of real ingredients, I will say. So, like, if you get a peanut butter bar, you get actual peanut butter.
Sure.
You don't get peanut butter flavored soy. If you know what I mean, like things like that. Because they're using real ingredients, they do adapt their size according to
Right.
the portion control that's necessary to keep you on plan.
Right.
So that's the one of the day. Great stuff. Again, 5. If I wanted 5 of these, I could have 5 of these, 2.5 hours apart, in a lean green and be golden.
Disclaimer: not recommended to hold over a fireplace.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what's nice about those. There's no cooking involved, nothing. But I wouldn't recommend cooking them because they do have that chocolate. So you get them a little warm, they're going to melt.
Yeah.
And that's also another thing is disclaimer: if you have that, don't keep it in your pocket.
No,
that
it will
I
melt.
have learned that is not a
Or
good
in the car.
our car. Yeah. So like I've actually we've done hikes and things like that. Like out in Georgia, we went and with Kelly and Jimmy, we went and did a hike to waterfalls, which is beautiful. And but if you just like throw one in your pocket because you know you're going to be longer than your 2.5 hours, and you want to have a bar when you get out to your waterfall,
You're going to be licking the wrapper.
yes, you'll be looking at the wrapper; it'll melt. So, but they do have them that don't have the chocolate or the peanut butter on them. So when we get to those, I'll point that out. But great one. Outstanding. It will melt. Be careful.
Well, should we talk some trucking business of any kind?
Yes. What do you have?
Me. I like how you throw that back on me. I read an article, and I was pretty amazed by it, that the world's first fully autonomous truck yard is now operating in Texas. I thought world, because as a truck driver, we drive by a lot of signs that say world's best lasagna, world's best taco. I always really want to know if it's world's best. But this is the world's first fully autonomous truck yard, is now operating in Texas.
What's autonomous about? Is it the
Yard dogs.
The yard dogs. Okay, thank you.
The yard dogs are fully autonomous.
So it's not like I show up and then a machine takes over my truck.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So it's been identified as a Fortune 100 company with 1.7 million square foot distribution center in Texas with 750 trailer staging bays.
And that's all the identification they give. They don't give the name of the company or anything.
Nope.
Just its financial standings and the size of the distribution center.
Yep.
They don't go into any more detail on even where it's at in Texas. We just know it's in Texas.
Well, and I will say, judging this is the article you sent us, right?
It is.
The picture has there's a logo on a trailer and it's blurred out.
It is. There's actually on the CDL Life article that I read, there was a video showing the trucks doing their work out there, and everything was blurred, so you couldn't tell. But I was pretty amazed, though, that it's fully autonomous. Watching those trucks, they had 3 of them at one point, kind of converging on a similar space, and they all took turns, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, the
AI is
video's-
pretty smart.
The video is pretty cool. You can actually see there's 4 different windows in the video. In the main window, you can see the 3 different yard dogs that are working. In the bottom, it's the driver's perspective from each of those 3 yard dogs. So you can see what they're seeing as you're watching. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's no drivers, but you can see from behind the steering wheel what these trucks are doing.
For
It's
new
pretty cool.
listeners, what's a yard dog?
A yard dog is one of those little tiny trucks you see in a big distribution center that people are driving to move trailers between parking spots and doors.
Right.
Sometimes they're called spotters. I think that the official name for them is the driver is called a spotter.
Yeah.
And they're driving these little single cab, 1-person cab trucks. And they're usually not even getting out of them to hook up trailers. They're climbing through a back door, hooking up an airline. The 5th wheel raises and lowers hydraulically, so they don't have to raise up the landing gear. They back into it. It hooks up on the 5th wheel. They use the 5th wheel to raise the truck. They top out, attach an airline, and they go put it either back on the dock or back in the parking spot.
And the airline is just to
Release the trailer
release
brakes.
trailer brakes.
Yeah.
Those are also the
750.
things you see the 2x4 hanging from chains in front of it, have a magnet probably
Yes,
on the
at
bottom.
a
Yes,
lot,
you do.
yeah.
So they're trying
Yep.
to clean up the parking lot from
Yep.
Yep.
sharp stuff
Yep.
Yeah.
while they're
Not
working.
damaging tires. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But fully autonomous, moving around. Well, they have 750 bays. I would assume that they have maybe more trailers than that at any given time.
Is it since it is fully autonomous? Oh yeah, they will definitely have more than 750
Oh, sure.
trailers. But since it's fully autonomous, are humans allowed to drive in the property?
We don't know.
It
The
didn't
article
say.
gives
Okay.
very little information.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty cool because I actually zoomed in to watch how they were attaching the glad hands.
Yeah.
And it appears the trailers are modified, so you can still see the glad hands there, but there's an arm that comes out from the back of the yard dog that connects underneath the glad hands. So maybe there's some sort of bypass or something. So it's not connecting a glad hand and twisting it to lock it in place. It just plugs in. It looks like to insert that airline. But the article didn't give a whole lot more information. The video only shows those 3 yard dogs. There are no humans in that video at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
2 things. Did you explain what a glad hand is?
A glad hand is what you use to attach an airline between a tractor and a trailer. So the trailers don't have their own air supply. They're using air from the compressor on the tractor to fill the air tanks in the trailer, and that's what the trailer uses for its braking system.
Yeah.
So the glad hands, you have 2 of them. One's your primary and one's your emergency braking that connect. They're the hoses that run between a tractor and a trailer. There's 3 of them actually. There's 2 air lines and 1 electrical line that plug in for lighting on the trailer. The yard dogs don't need the electrical line. They just need the 1 air line to release the brakes in the trailer.
So
Okay.
and to release the brakes, so on trailer brakes, they have to have, I don't remember how many pounds it is, 20, 40 pounds, something like that, of pressure, because the way those drum brakes works is with no pressure, the springs actually push out and cause the brake to
Yeah.
be fully engaged. So you need a little air pressure to push them back in. That releases the brakes. And then when you get more air pressure, it pushes them right back out. So that like when you actually go to hit your brake pedal, it actually pushes them back out. But you have to have a little air in there in that system to keep them unattached. That way, if they're driving down the interstate and something happens, their brake line gets loose or something, the default is it clamps down on the brakes. That way, it's strong enough to hold it from a dead stop, but if you're rolling down the road and that happens, you'll just feel a tug. It won't like lock the wheels up, and then it'll let the driver know, hey, I need to move over and figure out what's going on if something were to happen. But it's But again, and should a trailer come completely detached, which you think would never happen, but look online. There's plenty of evidence of it. It locks the brakes up. That way the trailer kind of comes to a stop and it doesn't like fly into another oncoming traffic or something like that.
Wow.
But so you do have to have a little bit of air going to the trailer to release that.
In the article, does it mention what the brand of
It
the
mentions the
trucks are?
company name. It does not mention the brand of the trucks.
Was it
The
icy?
company that is set this up and is running the autonomous testing is ISEE. They're the ones that have installed or deployed the fleet of driverless trucks.
But
Yeah.
We don't know what brand. They're a pretty generic brand of yard dog, it looks like.
Yeah.
They all look so similar,
They
though.
do. Yeah, so what they're doing is they're buying, if I'm not mistaken, they're buying a yard dog from someone,
That's what it looks like.
and then
yeah.
they're modifying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it still has a steering wheel
Melissa
and all
and I
the
were
other stuff.
talking about that
So
earlier, and she was like, "Why do they have a steering wheel if it's no people?"
yeah,
And I said, "They're probably just buying off-the-shelf yard dogs
Right.
and installing their electronics into it."
it's not Tesla where they're ground up.
Right, yeah. So this way, I mean, they've got this is pretty much a proof of concept. So I'd imagine if they do roll out larger scale, ultimately, you're right. Why do you need a cab?
Yeah.
You don't need even a cab. I think Volvo put out a prototype of a autonomous vehicle. I think it was Volvo, and it was basically
A box?
it was like a car almost with a fifth wheel on it.
Yeah.
It didn't have the high cab. It was just dialed down low
Right.
and hooked up. So I mean that was a prototype. I think if this goes beyond proof of concept or gets bigger and it becomes more cost effective to build a yard dog that doesn't have a cab and a steering wheel from the ground up, I think we might see that happen eventually.
Well, I know in aviation, like if you buy, or if you have a small plane or something like that, they almost look like. You ever seen a lawnmower, like a autonomous lawnmower?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like they don't have the handles for you to push or anything. It's
Right.
just the deck.
It's like
They
a
actually-
it's like a Roomba.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So they have those to tug airplanes out of hangars and to move them where you need to, because you can't drive an airplane out of a hangar. You have to actually pull it out. And the way most people do it is they hook a little arm up to it. And you just literally pull it out. But they have these little they kind of look like those little Roomba or like a big Roomba, and they just drag it out, and you have one guy with a remote control or even their iPhone just telling it where to go, and it does it.
Wow.
I assume the 18-wheeler will eventually, not the 18-wheeler, I'm sorry, the yard dog
right.
would look like that at some point.
Sure.
And, I've had a lot of people over the years ask about autonomous trucking and where's it going and everything. And I've told them, like, long-range autonomous trucking is a long way to go. We're decades away from that. But anything that can be done within a geofence, which is a GPS-driven area that is stationary or the electronics have complete control over, or anything that is dedicated route of like, I got to get this 53 foot of beer from Budweiser plant to Budweiser distribution center and right back, and there's no variables, that's the places that'll be affected first, right? And what do you see? You see Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Budweiser
Right.
investing in autonomous trucking because they know that is where it'll be the easiest thing to program,
Wow.
the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
A yard dog, what a great idea.
And one reason too to kind of go back to Eric's question, one reason you use a yard dog in a distribution center situation is for our tractor trailer friends who are doing a lot of drop and hook,
Yes.
where you're pulling a trailer into a facility, you're not waiting to get unloaded, you're dropping that loaded trailer, possibly picking up another loaded trailer and taking it off the facility, and then the yard dogs or the spotter's job is to stage a loaded trailer into a door to have it unloaded by the crew inside, and then pull it out and bring another one in, or bring an empty trailer into a door, have it loaded and taken away, or even parked until another tractor comes in to take it away. So the yard dog's job is to get those trailers staged and ready for either unloading or for leaving the yard.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I have a question for Jerry, coming from an IT perspective. He's like, really? So, Vince and I were discussing the material beforehand. My question is, what happens if there's a solar flare or a power outage or an AT&T glitch or any of those other things? How does that affect AI and maybe specifically maybe in this instance with the yard dogs? Would you know that answer by any chance? Because I would assume it's all computer electronic-y.
I wouldn't know specifics, but I would think that something like that would probably be like you said, geofence, GPS onboard type of thing. You're not really getting a signal from an outside source like a satellite or something like that. It's going to be mapped out. It knows where to go. Each individual vehicle probably has. It's just like the vehicles out in Arizona, the taxi cabs. They've been running for years.
Yeah.
What are they called?
I know you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it.
They've been running for years, picking up passengers with nobody in them. They've got radar, they've got lidar, they've got all of that on board, so it can detect other objects and vehicles, and it knows where everybody is. So I would think it would be localized on that particular vehicle and not have to worry about satellites or connections going out or anything.
Well,
like
and the
that.
beauty of a yard too is you could do it all over Wi-Fi. You don't have to do it over satellite.
But
or
what if
cell
like
phone.
all that crashes? What's good? I guess maybe my question. Let me rephrase it. What prevents from one of these from running? Like, what are your obstacles? Maybe.
I would assume. I mean, like anything that has to do with safety, regardless if it's an airplane, a train, a truck, an autonomous, whatever. I would assume there's fail-safes, redundancy.
Oh yeah.
If this thing doesn't get a signal from the mothership, so to speak,
Right.
for the office, at a bare minimum, I think it's going to shut down. If it's smart enough, it may complete its task
Right.
and then shut down.
Yeah.
If it's really smart, it may finish its task, go do its next 3 tasks, and then shut down. But at the end of the day, I think there has got to be some redundancy built in that says if power fail, solar flare, whatever happens, if you lose communication,
Sure. Yeah.
this is what you do.
And then my other question is, are these still where you can flip a switch and be driven manually in case there is long-term technical issue? Or is an investor out all this money on an autonomous vehicle and you now have to go buy old school trucks to
It-
come in?
I think
Like, does it go both ways?
I think this is being done by a OEM who's trying to prove their technology, like Vince said.
Yeah.
So these trucks may have been modified in such a way that you can't drive them manually,
Mm.
but maybe not.
Yeah.
I would kind of think too, if you had something catastrophic like that happen, it's not going to last forever. We're going to be back up and running.
Yeah.
You're going to.
Sure.
Well,
you know,
that's
So you're going to have that fail safe. It's going to park. It's going to do whatever it's going
Yeah.
to do,
Right.
and then
that's
know.
kind of why I was thinking it may know to do its next 3 tasks, knowing that in the next 25 minutes it takes me to do those next 3 tasks. The server may come back up, and I
Sure.
may regain communication,
Right.
and be fine to go again.
Yeah. I get
Like,
what you're saying.
I think back to when I ran sound, and I was right when I quit doing sound, digital boards were really becoming a thing. So before that, it was all analog. So it literally like went through a bank, an electrical, like a microphone signal, went through a bank of electronic resistors and capacitors and all that stuff on a circuit board, and with current and voltage behind it, and everything we modified was a resistor modifying whatever, right? Like everything was very analog, and then it went out analog, and then it went to an amplifier, which made a speaker signal, which made the speakers run, right? Analog. And then when I got into that, the only way that fails is if you lose electricity. Outside of that, runs great. Then we went to digital soundboards, which means it came in analog, and then a converter made it a digital signal, 1s and 0s. And then it ran through a computer, and the computer told it what to manipulate. But even then, the redundancy was, if we lose all the computer technology and processing, the signal will continue as is, and we'll only be able to manipulate how loud or how soft it gets, but we won't be able to control anything else. But at least we have redundancy so that if it does crap out, we can still keep the show going. We just maybe lose some effects or ability to do some cool stuff, but we can still
Ah.
keep the show going. And I would assume these vehicles have the same fail-safe.
Sure.
If at some point we lose, like there's enough minimum, whatever, that they
Right.
can keep doing that on the truck, and if there's not,
Right.
then they just literally stop in place.
Hmm.
Not a great deal for autonomous trucking. You can't have an 18-wheeler just I lost signal and stop on the
Right.
interstate, but in a yard situation you
Sure.
could.
Sure. I
So
thought it was a really cool article.
I agree. I want to
You
watch
know?
the video. I can't wait to see that once this is done recording. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like you're talking about redundancy. If the signal does go out, as long as it's got enough internal instruction to go put myself in a safe place, and then wait till everything shoots back up.
Everything in programming, everything in electronics, they call them if-then conditions, logic. You literally have 15, 20 if-then this,
Yeah.
if-then this, if-then this.
Like a punch list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ah.
because it's not really. I mean, like I guess AI is teetering on that, but it's not really intelligence. It's just enough. We have enough if-thens that we've encompassed enough stuff that it can figure itself out, right?
Yep.
Like, it's not literally your brain, which is your brain's not running a series of if-thens. It's actually thinking, critical thinking. But the computer, you can't obviously do that, right? Like, the computer's not going to learn.
Sure.
But and I'm sure the more it experiences, the more it can then add more if-thens, right?
yes, machine learning.
Yeah.
Apple's been doing that for a long time. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, think about how bad Siri was when it first came out.
it's still. I have to admit, Siri is still bad.
As she lights up sitting next to you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
She's like recording and sending to your mom. What?
And
Well,
that's on Apple's defense, though. That is because it's so locked down. Their just privacy and everything is so locked down.
Yeah.
That she's not as smart as the other guys. I know Don complains about her constantly, but it's because Google and Alexa and all those. And I'm sorry if I'm setting your devices off out there.
Yeah.
They all are wide open and
Yeah.
no privacy or anything else. So
You don't have to say hey and then Alexa.
I gave my
That would be
our
the
TV
keyword.
goes off constantly because
Say
it's got
hey.
it built in. It drives me crazy.
Do you ever ask Siri
I-
to tell you jokes?
yes.
Sometimes I'll do that. I'll just be driving and I'm like, I
Oh.
need a good joke.
We've dragged on now quite a while. It's been a really good
I
episode. It's
must
really
have
been a
needed
good.
therapy.
It's been a good chance talking with y'all. I don't know how it's going to come out in the edited version. I'm trusting Jerry to make it great, but it's been a crazy couple weeks. We've been out of town. Y'all been out of town. It's just been insane. I'm glad to get a chance to hang out with y'all. Dinner was wonderful this morning.
Thank you,
or this
Eric.
afternoon. By the way, Eric, amazing dinner. It was really, really tasty.
It truly was.
It was very, very good. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yes.
Welcome.
yes,
I
thank you.
enjoy it.
One thing, I know. Well, so one thing we're doing behind the scenes is we're actually trying to every Outer Belt episode. We film these at night, so we're going to have a dinner beforehand. We haven't done that. We've done it once or twice last season, but now we're going to try and make it a regular thing. Just a chance for us to get around the table, have a meal, kind of talk a little bit about the notes of what we're going to talk about in the show, and then go down here and actually film it. So, does that sound good to you? Are you agreeable to coming and hanging out and eating with us? And it'll be something we cook from home most nights. Maybe occasionally we'll do some fried chicken or something, but home cooked meal, little dialogue, little hanging out, and then we'll come down here and hash things out on the actual show. But
Sounds good.
yeah, and we'll do a better job of preparing time wise of when when to start cooking. It's a late for y'all today. It's late. It's late for all of us because of just anyways. Doesn't matter.
Tornado
So,
warnings.
yeah, you know, solar flares, something.
Right.
Things coming up. We have the Mid-America Truck Show coming up March
21st to 23rd.
21st to 23rd. If you've never gone before and you're in Louisville or the surrounding areas, go. It's a great show. It's massive. Bring some cash. Buy some chrome for your truck. Buy a electric heater because they had that last year. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
I like
Strange
that.
but true.
They had a coffee booth that I liked.
Did they?
They did.
Oh, no. They had a 5-hour energy booth that I
Really?
adored.
Do you remember the coffee booth? They were out of Chicago or something. Yeah,
Was it free coffee or no?
it was. And cute little, They were making Americanos and espressos.
Did you see this?
Mm-mm.
It was like right on the other side of the Panther booth. I was living it up there.
Well,
in the coffee
clearly we need to communicate
Yeah,
better.
right.
I mean,
Right.
jeez.
Anyway,
Jerry
yes.
was walking around taking video a lot of the time. I remember that.
booth. I thought it was odd that there was a coffee booth, but I think somehow they were tied in with the Chrome shop next door. So
I can
don't
see that.
know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like, here's your have a cup of coffee and talk with us about what we
Yeah.
can do for you or whatever.
Maybe.
It's a really cool show. You're going to see a lot of OEMs. You're going to see a lot of carriers. Panther Premium Logistics will be there. They're going to be in the ArcBest booth with ABF Freight and ArcBest. And FedEx usually makes an appearance.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an announcement yet, but they usually make an appearance there. It's we're going to be hanging out there. We're not going to be in a booth like we were last year. Just the way schedules work out, we weren't able to put it together, but we are going to be walking around. So if you see one of us in the show, come tap on our shoulders and say hi. We'd love to talk with you, see you for a few minutes.
Come out and wish me a happy birthday because it's 3 days prior to my birthday.
You don't have to, but if you want, yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll be walking around filming the trucks and whatever else you see. But the OEMs are there, so like your big truck manufacturers
Those are
there, the sleeper companies are there. Air Eyes usually has a pretty cool booth. You'll see they have my favorites, the Working Trucks show, working antique trucks or something like that. So it's like 1962 Marmons working.
Yes.
Like the company hadn't been in business in 40 years,
Right.
but you still see a dump truck or a tractor trailer that's the guy still driving it.
Yep.
And it's like it's so cool to see these old cab overs. Tons of cab overs. Like it's really cool to see a piece of American life that's not just a trailer queen, and they have those too, and those are cool.
Oh, sure.
But this truck actually still runs. It still
Yeah.
serves its purpose 30, 40, 50, 60 years after it's
I like
built.
the tricked out ones.
Oh, the tricked out ones. Oh my gosh, you remember that one
The
last year
lowered.
that had the it was like the cyborg, not cyborg.
It was like a Mad Max look.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was so
It
cool.
was like all cut out or something.
Yeah,
I
chopped
took
down.
I took a lot of photos.
That
of
was a cool one.
It was really cool, and it may be back. It may be a different one this time. But it's a great time to come out. Look, they have free giveaways. Get a yardstick. Get some candy. Get all the free giveaways they give away. It's a lot of fun. They have a not open bar, a cash bar. Anyways, but it's a lot of
They have
fun.
a concert.
They have a concert,
Truck pool,
truck
maybe?
pull or monster
Yeah.
truck or something.
Yeah.
It's something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Tractor pull.
Tractor pool, I think.
Yeah. But it's a really cool show. It's a great time. Louisville's a fun city. If you have a tractor trailer or commercial truck, they have parking, but it's moved this year.
Check out their website.
Truckshow.com, trackingshow.com.
Just Google Maps.
Just Google Maps. Mid-America
The
Truck
link
Show.
will be in the description.
Yes. They did move the truck parking this year. And I apologize. I forgot where it was. But it's they do free parking at the on the website where it says. They do have paid for parking at the actual expo center. But if you're going to be there for a couple days, get the free parking. They usually have shuttle buses that bring you back and forth for free. It makes it really simple. And you just meet up with a bunch of truckers and have a great time. The show is huge. You'll see all kinds of cool stuff. You'll get inspired. You'll have ideas. If you're not in trucking and you're like, let me go see what this is about, it's another great way to like get introduced to the world of trucking. They have breakout sessions as well that you can go to and see and listen to industry experts talk and stuff. It's a really good thing. Go out and see it. We'll be there Thursday, Friday. I don't think we're making Saturday, but we're going to be there for Thursday and Friday. But it's going to be, we'll make a recap video. You'll see that in a few weeks. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you if you're there. If not, check out that recap video in a few weeks. And outside of that, still don't have any words from Expedite Expo yet. Not sure what's going on there. We will look forward to seeing you next week.
Hit that like button, hit that share button, share it with a friend. You never know who would like to hear us ramble as they're going down the road or just getting into trucking or wanting to know what we talk about on a daily basis or weekly basis. Hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. We'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to us on a podcast or if you're watching us on YouTube and you're like, this is something I'd like to listen to so I don't have to watch it while I'm driving down the road, you can find us on all your podcast platforms, no matter what you have. We're on all of them under the Outer Belt. And
we actually just hit over 500 downloads on,
500 downloads.
on Apple Podcast.
Nice.
That's
Sweet.
awesome. Thank y'all so much for that. We really appreciate it.
Nice.
If you have any ideas
Yes,
that you want to
suggestions,
topics that you want us to talk about, send it to us at the Outer Belt Pod. At what?
The Outer Belt Podcast at gmail.com.
Thank you. You'll also find the link under below to that as well. But we would love to hear your feedback, your suggestions. We got a couple that we're working on right now that are y'all gave us some good topics. That takes a little bit of research that we're working on. But we'd love some more, and it can be for any of us. It just doesn't have to be a generic topic. You can say, like, I want Melissa specifically to talk about fill in the blank. I want Eric specifically to talk about fill in the blank. We would love to get those requests and see. We appreciate all the interaction with y'all. I guess in the meantime, make good decisions and drive safe.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Bye.
Good night.